Let's see whether they can do it again as we get into pick and ban here for game number 1. Namgung will be on our blue side as a result of them not having right of first selection, and the bros will take that first pick. We do have Maokai globally banned, so it's going to be really surprising when we don't see any Maokai at all throughout.
Except not really. Even though he was buffed with his jungle clear, he wasn't played in Kespa Cup before he was globally banned either, so I don't think this will affect things too much, but it is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. If you're thinking that it's maybe an incredible Maokai angle in the draft, understand that they will not go for it because you can't. I don't know when you'd get to that. Maybe there's like some sort of Yone draft that you want to go with. Anyway, the Rumble is going to be banned away alongside the Poppy. I think Kingen's Rumble does always need some attention. And will we see... I don't think the Bard ban is all that necessary against Lehends and Namgung, but we'll just have to find out.
I think a Scout lock ban might be a Scout exclusive for the LCK here, but it is going to be taken away from him in this draft, so that's no longer on the table. Orianna has to be banned, so Cassiopeia for Roamer does feel like the most likely outcome. However, I would argue I'd rather see Gideon play Lee Sin here. It's one of his best picks, and even though Roamer gets the S-tier pick in the Cassiopeia, his performances individually just have not been inspiring. But bro are going to do the LCK move and pick the tier list.
Well, I mean, it was either that or...
Guess what?
I mean, this was obviously going to happen, but now they have to pick away Ezreal. Otherwise, like the Ezreal Camille that we have seen be a relatively decent lane, Ezreal has been quite self-sufficient. The Skarner into Lee Sin has been a decent matchup, but oh my god, they went Shen instead of Ezreal. And so now, I think Namgung probably get like the best core that is on offer at the moment in the meta, as far as like mid-game power is concerned.
The only alternative is try to get a counter pick for this Cassiopeia. I am confident that Scout could play Syndra and get a lead here and then keep the bottom lane flexible. Because if you get the Ezreal, some of those strong setups here.
Olaf!
Okay, well, Olaf is going up in priority like crazy. His win rate is insane, and he just keeps...
How many times does he get played into the bros as well? And then we have to commentate him going, bro, and then killing them all. And it's just really sad.
Well, they're going to ban the Jax counter pick, so they are very aware. They've been watching and playing in Kespa Cup. By the way, Namgung is the highest ranked Kespa Cup team.
Yep. They qualified first.
Yeah, they are in first. So... And against some tough opponents as well.
Yeah, they took down T1. It was T1's challenger roster, but the challenger roster was beating all sorts of teams throughout the Kespa Cup. They were absolutely incredible. So
Syndra is going to get banned here first, kind of leading us to believe that HANJIN don't think that Diable is going to look for an Ezreal pick here, because he has the ability to pick first in this draft. So,
oh no, Teddy just wants to Kaiser it, doesn't he?
He might, but I just don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing, but I think
they do eventually make the right choice.
Oh, thank goodness. Teddy is a great Kaiser player, but I'd be a bit worried.
We're probably going to end up seeing something like a Victor here in the mid lane for Scout, or maybe something a little bit more aggressive. Like they could play in this draft, I think, something like a Sylas. Akali works out. Jhin becomes very obvious. This was the other pick that works really well with Camille when you have this frontlining Lee Sin and Olaf. Corki over Sivir, I think, is much more powerful into the Jhin, but the Sivir is going to be great for late game in terms of being able to clear those waves and control the map. So those are the choices you want to make. Explosive 2 items for Corki and better lane, or Sivir in the late game. Ambessa will be the answer here to this Olaf, which makes me very nervous.
Yeah, we have seen Ambessa picked into Olaf before. In fact, just yesterday in the Kespa Cup, it was one of the choices. I don't know whether it's a good one. I didn't like it necessarily. You can always play around that one-item spike, but I think that the Olaf can certainly get off to a good start. I think it was Rich playing the Olaf in that particular matchup, and it didn't look great. But, there might have been some user error at play there. The Corki is going to be considered once again here for Teddy, and I think Corki makes more sense than Sivir because there's an Olaf, and he runs more fast than you.
There's a lot of options here for Scout. Can just play the Anivia.
All right.
And Anivia plus Olaf.
He was the first one to bring the Anivia over to the LCK, I'm pretty sure.
It's
a more recent stint.
It's certainly a Scout-flavored champion right now, and he has so much setup in this draft to be able to get value out of his ultimate, whether he is just zoning the engage away here from HANJIN BrioN, messing up what the Skarner's trying to do, because if he goes in, he won't necessarily be able to get out. The same with the Ambessa. The wall can trap you in there. Then you're stuck in melee range with an Olaf and a Camille. This draft here for Namgung RedForce, I feel like has almost everything you'd ever want. The draft on the side of HANJIN BRION scales really well with the Cassiopeia, and the Corki 2-item spike is also going to feel really good. They've got good engage, but it doesn't necessarily scream safety or I'm as bro. Like, if you put nameplates on, they're going to be able to get to that Cassiopeia angle. And that was the first pick. They gave over the Lee Sin for that. And if the Lee Sin just runs circles around the Skarner, which has been a counter pick to the Lee Sin, but the Lee Sin usually makes more impact early, I think they're going to regret the way they approach this draft.
Yeah, perhaps. I do think the Anivia is weirdly off theme because Namgung have all the champions that just want to run people down. So Scout does need to be very careful about where he's constructing his walls. But hopefully, it is going to be all okay here for Namgung. They can play around it well. Scout has been on form. Let's see what happens as we get into the Rift for game number 1.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, got to work on the fan chant coordination just a little bit here today, but they'll have game number 2 to get it all in order. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are onto the Rift for game number 1. Namgung with a draft that I think will be able to get things done a little bit sooner than the Bros. But the Bros obviously wanted to take things slow, steady. What we were saying yesterday, Wolf, you know, we were commentating some Bro and Brew, them versus KRX. KRX did eventually win the series. It was a 3-game slog. And the Bros, they did take things slow. And they did make it to a lot of late games.
They did.
And they lost the majority of them.
They also did not play against Namgung yesterday.
They did not.
Namgung pretty scary. I think that the way this comp needs to work for Bro is to make sure that the Ambessa doesn't fall behind, and that Teddy and Namgung are played through by Gideon. And from then on out, playing through the Cassiopeia is really tricky, right? Because you're playing into Anivia, who has a wall, who has a passive that makes it very difficult to kill her. It even allows for Scout to just decide to drop his passive to keep his flash, for example. It's a strong matchup early here for the Cassiopeia as well, but playing through this I don't think is going to be necessarily where you want to butter your bread, so to speak, here for Bro. Yep. And the Lee Sin is very scary. You know, they're both pathing bottom side here, as we'd expect, because it's a Corki lane with the Camille. And we'll see what happens once this Camille gets out of lane as well, because that's the other part of the Lee Sin into Skarner, is the Camille is going to be roaming all over the map, and the Shen is going to have to follow as barrier is popped here.
Yeah, Teddy actually using that just to try and keep his health bar a little bit more up. Did have this wave crashing on forward. We know that there wasn't any risk of a dive, and in fact, Gideon is here in case of a counter dive necessity. Doesn't actually come on through. We do have Sponge just going for a casual full clear. And casting, standing on top of the axe.
One of the cool things about Camille when you have lane pro like this is you can just stand on that brush. And if you see the enemy jungler coming, you can just hookshot away so easily. And if the enemy support tries to kind of come over there and buy space, you've got Halo Blades like, oh, I'm happy to trade with you. That's fine with me, yes. If there's no jungler here, I'm going to kind of stick around. Now he has his jungler down here. And it becomes very difficult for Gideon to actually even access this Scuttle Crab. They do have Prio in mid. Scout's very low on health right now.
Yeah, I think Sponge kind of knew what was going on here as Gideon looks to try and catch on to Sponge, but this is just grabbing some Scuttle Crab control and will successfully do so. Sponge coming over to help Scout out here, as he could have, you know, put his T-Towel on top of Scout there to give him a little bit of a shield, but decided to go to the minion instead. A little bit more of a beeline.
Doing a little bit better in Caspa Cup, but not that much better, to be honest. Just being played a lot there. As you see, this is on a 7-loss streak.
Yeah, I remember we brought this up when it was a 6-loss streak, and in that game, it then lost again, didn't it?
Yes, that's how this loss streaks work, John.
Ah, thank you. It's weird, because I've been working here in the LCK and looking at loss streaks for a long time during my career, and I've only just had it explained to me.
You never thought about how they grew, did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't know. And I thought it was just on trees.
Because when they don't get, when they either just get bigger or they disappear and we don't talk about them anymore.
Exactly. I never see them die.
We don't do the lost streak broken graphic.
Why don't they bring up the graphic graphic when they win, and then it just gets torn apart, and then Atlus would understand, and his brain would work. That would be nice.
Well, luckily
they
I've
never think
explained
about
it to you
me,
now,
do they?
So hopefully that'll at least be enough until we can get that graphic made for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that in advance, LCK, because I'm sure there's somebody else that doesn't understand how this
Lehends is
works.
here.
Oh, that's very cute, using the wall as the hookshot target, but doesn't actually commit as Namgung is in perfect position, as these supports certainly in sync right now. As Romer is in trouble, does have to actually flash out of the way. The flash forward from Lehends, though, might have been a little bit overly optimistic, as he does wall dive away. And Gideon comes on over at the same time as Sponge. Everyone is countering us. What the heck? He finds the stun. Scout looking for a couple more autos, but he will not get there. But also is straight up not punished for the flash.
Yeah, well, I think he wanted to set up for Sponge to follow, but Namgung was just like, well, I'll just stand here and block the Q. So he almost had enough damage with autos there to actually take Romer out. So Romer flashes as well in exchange here in that last set of plays. We'll have to TP back to lane here, and we'll just eat an electrocute on arrival. And this is still a lot of pressure here from Sponge. We'll be spending a lot of time here, and eventually I think we'll probably want to just vacate the area.
All right, Kingen
level 6.
running at casting here. Yeah, hits that level 6 as Kingen is about to. Ragnarok now online, as casting just barely gets the rest of that damage. Glacial Storm now available in this mid lane. And there's the hookshot wall dive. First blood goes to Scout. The setup just too good. And man, you give Lehends one of these champions that is just going to perma-roam, and obviously he'll get stuff done.
Yeah, unfortunately, Namgung decided that the roaming was done, and it wasn't. So it was for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. And man, Scout just constantly applying this pressure this entire time. Without Scout actually just pushing the envelope here onto Romer repeatedly. Gets level 6 here first. Romer has no defensive ultimate on the play. I mean, Scout, yes, he was set up by Lehends and Gideon, or sorry, excuse me, and Sponge on these repeated attempts, but it was his pressure in lane and his setup there and his ability to get level 6 first that actually allows for that play to come through from Lehends. Flashless there. And it's a kill over to the Anivia in the early game. First blood for Nongshim.
And it's very early on in the flash timer as well. And so it's possible that they can just come back and do that again. I don't think the Ignite cooldown was all that important for locking that one down as Sponge comes on in. We're going to see whether he can put some extra pressure onto Gideon. Level 6 advantage here for the Lee Sin, but the rest of the bros are making... Oh, wait, he just flipped over the top of the car. That was so sick. All right, casting now looking to come on over, and Sponge isn't out of the woods just yet. All right, can he tag Namgung in order to get his way up? Well, Petrifying Gaze says absolutely not, and won't have another Q, and so is definitely dead. Still, the flip over the car thing that he did, that was pretty cool.
That was cool. He didn't have enough information to try to flash away there. Was pretty sure that Namgung was on the other side, just didn't know exactly where, so couldn't try to taxi through him, and so down he will go. So it looked cool at first, but nice punish does come through here for Brion. A kill going over to Romer in the exchange is actually pretty massive, as Cassiopeia, who was falling significantly far behind, still is behind, but much less so now.
Could have been way worse. Yeah, exactly,
right? Is punished. And now we're looking at a game state here where this Dragon is pretty late. You know that neither of these teams have been able to get bottom side control. It's been all about the mid lane.
Oh no, I've seen this one before. Well, stun isn't going to connect as Gideon looking to drive in and pick up the bird. Will be able to throw a rock over as there's the flash taunt. Will be the egg coming on through. The kick from Sponge comes on down as well. Romer going to be the first one taken out. They do kill both mid laners in this exchange. But Nongshim still scrapping here. And now I'm going down to 50%. Still, they are just going to back away. A 1-for-1 in the end. And a 2-for-2 overall here in this game.
But I think they like the fight here much more for the Grubs than Bro do. You know, there's so much damage done in this mid lane already. Sure, it's a trade of kills, but Scout's advantage is going to remain. They just don't allow Bro to make a proactive play here. Kingen is ready to fight here as well. He has his ultimate casting way too far up.
Well, he completely misses the first undertow, and casting's going to flash the second one. Still flash down on the Ambessa is a big deal. Gideon over on top of his Grubs right now. Will be able to get his first one. Should be 2 over to the Bros, so the Gideon Grubs are ringing true right now. It's going to make him a little bit happy. And now Kingen looking somewhat worse for wear, but it's Olaf. He kind of likes being at a third health.
So initially here, Scout's just trying to apply that pressure. Doesn't expect Gideon to be here. Has so much control vision in that top side brush, but it's a Skarner that can obviously get here pretty quickly. They outplay here though. Sponge is able to help get the execute onto Romer. So it is a trade of kills. This is why I was saying before, it's pretty hard to play through the Anivia lane with Bro's draft because of the passive. Buys enough time there for the counter to come through. So both mid laners die in the exchange. Scout looks like he's just not going to get that last auto to take out this plate, but is still in a very comfortable lead in this matchup right now as the supports have just lived in the mid lane.
Yeah, we haven't even looked at the bottom lane at all as Lehends max range on the hook shot will be able to find the wall and get himself out of there. This dives on over, but now Namgung understands that he has a big health advantage as far as the support matchup, and Scout needs to be a little bit careful. Does have full control of this wave, though. The AoE clear from the Anivia has been something that we've been talking about for 14 years, 15 years.
I really thought with this matchup, especially the early prior that Romer had, that we just see a lot of action in the bottom 3v3 to keep the supports also pinned into this lane. But instead, it's just been both bottom laners just sitting there dead even on farm, like 2 CS the difference right now for Diable, and it's been all mid lane, and Scout's just been applying that pressure and setting it up. So Romer on the back foot. They will get this first dragon finally here. Super late into the game at 10 minutes, but Romer's still the target.
Oh, good turn there from Scout. Does get himself out of the way of the Petrifying Gaze. Offers a fair bit of damage back with the Glacial Storm there as well, and will take a ward down to boot. Nicely done.
So do you see a mountain and a cloud? See what that soul ends up being, but 2 very powerful.
Infernal. It's got to be Infernal.
Likely.
Slaves to the Earth, Wind, and Fire over here. As Romer's going to flash very preemptively. And in fact, I believe it just came back off cooldown. So he's just basically flashless his entire game.
This is just a miserable time for Romer. He is just being camped, and he's pulled his jungler out of the jungle to defend him, right? And Namgung is also kind of trapped in this lane because of all the pressure that's been applied here. And he's just getting whittled down. Sure, the defenses have been decent. It's a 2 for 2 in terms of kill score right now, but that lead for Scout just pushing him to such a powerful position where he's going to have so much more ability to get out on the map and actually impact the rest of this game. And yes, there's a lead here for the Ambessa early on the top side, but I feel like this Ambessa, or sorry, the Anivia lead is much more significant right now here for Nongshim.
Well, Kingen has to be a little bit careful. Of course, has Ragnarok, can use that defensively if he would like to. Namgung coming up, not going to land the taunt, and we'll just walk away.
There's control vision here for Sponge, and they don't have any idea where he is, so they decide, okay, with Ragnarok available in Flash, we don't want to try to make this happen.
Namgung taking a lot of damage here from Sponge, actually. Does manage to at least Shadow Dash away, but the Ward Hop is going to be there. Gideon comes on over on full vision. Sponge still going in because he has Scout there for the defense. Glacial Storm comes down, Safeguard gets the Lee Sin out, and now we've got the Ragnarok pop towards the top side. You can see Kingen looking for it, does find that undertow as well, casting safely underneath the turret though, and there is the public execution. Was thinking about trying to make his way back in now that ulti had ran out, but Arthur R there on the top side, and no flash required there for casting as he didn't even have it.
This is a very scary place to try to fight. Kingen's Ghost is coming up, and Lehends is still here.
That's a big shield. Stands United coming down on top of the Ambessa, and Namgung going to help lock down that kill. Now Lehends going to have to wall dive his way out as Gideon doesn't hit the rock, but he may not need to. Lehends also still has flash, so he is just absolutely fine as he walks it off, but still, very good kill onto Kingen.
I think what Kingen and crew did not actually anticipate was the Namgung ultimate, myself included. I thought, oh, okay, this is actually not a favorable position here for Bro. But with that ultimate coming through from the Shen, it changes everything. Massive shield goes on to casting, and he can force the play here. So turning this lead into a very big one here is Lehends.
Just pretending to be a top laner here for a moment.
If, yeah, very good explanation of what's happening. If Casting wanted to trade with him a little bit further on the turret there, he had Hextech Ultimatum and Ignite, and Casting would have died. So this is going to be able to keep this wave away from the turret, pick up some of that money, and now allow Kingen to get the rest of it as he returns. So initially here, I'm like, okay, Kingen's pretty low. His Ghost is coming back, and he has ready to scrap with Lehends, but Namgung shows up first before Lehends could actually get into the play, because they wanted to be able to set that up to kill Casting before Gideon shows up, but instead, not going to happen. Trying to force the play here onto Lehends, though, with his ult available, was never going to be an opportunity there, so he will escape and be able to get Kingen some of this farm back. Kingen 9-1-1 behind. Might need a bit of an ambulance if this continues.
Gonna have to call the emergency services indeed. He is a lot of CS behind, as Casting did get a lot of extra time with Kingen being taken out. Still, I mean, we've seen Olaf's fall behind so many times before, and it just doesn't seem to really matter. He's now ghosting at Casting. You can see Namgung over, does find Sponge, Sponge does have the kick up and available, does just kick Namgung away, as you saw there, but Roma is indeed roaming. The flash out of the way from the public execution will mean that that will not land.
And Diable and Teddy
do get out.
Are just trying to play the game. They're like, anyone else interested in playing the game with us? Diable's like, well, I guess if the answer is no, I'm going to hit this turret.
Yeah, Diable found the single-player version, and Lehends found the dead version. Roma is just going to yell at him, and down will go this Camille for free.
Well, good call there from Romer. They end up catching Lehends. Lehends does not flash away and ends up getting caught there and dies. The game stayed still pretty even between these two, and we've had so much attention to solo lanes. It's just been like a camping trip everybody's been on. Everybody's just camping and trying to spring traps. Speaking of springing a trap, Lehends wants to come over here and try to catch Romer, I guess, was the idea here.
Wait, why?
He doesn't have any friends. I mean, I guess Diable had his ultimate and could have maybe tried to make something happen there, but that was peculiar.
No, that was... Yeah, look, if you want me to explain it to you, I can't. And that's just the end of it. I can explain this one, though. Sponge looking for a dive onto Roma. Deadly Flourish is going to miss there from Diable, but it doesn't matter. Lehends is flashing on top, looking for that revenge. Namgung showed up, but I don't think he wants to be at this party, as Teddy's going to come on back, and he's like, no, you know what? I'll take the back door. I'll just leave. It's
this is such a huge swing of gold in this game. Now Nongshim are going to be able to get this first turret off of a really well-coordinated dive. In return, Gideon gets this Rift Herald. We'll be able to drop it down here. I don't think they'll be able to get this turret, though. It's so healthy. And we don't have Scout showing up to deny it.
Oh, the wall comes in. Perfect timing. And Shelly is just going to bonk her head a couple of times, but otherwise not do too much damage to this turret.
They have to rush this dragon down. Diable just backed, and he won't be able to get here in time. But they have to be wary of a steal.
Exactly. Sponge moving over, does have the kick back up and available, but no flash. And it looks like they're not actually going to commit to the steal. Sponge will let that one go. And obviously it's an Infernal Soul. I said that before. And so that is what's going to come in. Nongshim also understanding that they're the team whose colors are generally red, so they prefer not to get a Mountain Drake and then just go straight for the true red 4 in a row.
There you go.
I think that's the theory on their side.
Casting is going to be aware that there's a pretty high chance the rest of the team is moving up right now, since they were all just grouped in the mid lane and are now missing. Lehends in particular, so he does back away and just waits. He has Namgung here with no ult for Namgung, but still has a big opportunity here with a backing Sponge in the river.
Public execution does come down onto Scout here, who does have flash, puts the wall down to try and stop Namgung from coming in, and he does Shadow Dash forward, but that means that he cannot CC Scout, and so Scout is going to be okay. Still has the egg for underneath this turret as well, so this is going to be a tough one for Gideon to actually lock down and get a kill in, especially with Lehends showing up. Sponge is going to join. There's a gorgeous stun, and a kick into the wall there as well, as Gideon's going to have to try and get out. There's the curtain call, though, looking for the Scorpion. Namgung will be able to block a bunch of these bullets, though. And so Diable, no joy for him.
This is exactly the type of situation I was talking about with Anivia into this bro composition, where it's just so annoying to play into this bird because you want to set something up with your Ambessa, you've got the Skarner coming through, and everything you try to do just gets turned on its head. They tried to defend the middle lane, but ended up getting so much of a deficit there in those fairly even
40
exchanges.
CS, what the heck?
And then you look at how they try to play that top side, and he just doesn't flash, gets to his turret, has his passive, and then turns the engage around onto Gideon there, forces his flash, and this Anivia is just so high value right now. You mentioned Scout's proficiency on the champ, one of the first to play it here in the LCK, and its return. And yes, I think Chovy gets most of the credit for kind of figuring out how Anivia is being played optimally right now in this meta, but Scout was definitely one of the pioneers, and in this game is showcasing just why.
Yeah, I think Scout was the reason why Chovy put 5,000 games into Anivia immediately afterwards. I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing. But that was kind of, he was the first one to make it look really, really good. Kingen runs back to throw an axe at the minion wave and did utilize the Ghost in order to really, truly run. And did also keep himself alive. Scout, yeah, he can just kind of push with impunity. I don't know, like, it's like, where is the counter? Where's the counterplay to this Anivia situation here? Trying to figure that one out, as the Raptor is going to get secured by Gideon. Not going to allow that one to be stolen by Sponge.
All Nongshim need to do to win fights at this state, when they have Diable up 1,000 gold as well with the 2 kills he picked up, is just set up, hunker down on every objective, zone bro away, and prevent them from actually getting the team fight that they want with the Skarner setup.
Do you want me to show you something that you'll not want to actually see?
I think the answer is no, but like I'm going to say yes because for the sake of the viewers, and this is entertainment after all.
Gideon has 0 stacks on his Heartsteel that he's had for about 7 minutes.
I didn't want to know that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if Scout doesn't let him touch the champions, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of Skarners really pop off by getting early Heartsteals, but often it's with also getting a stack or 2 that he's unable to be able to get just yet. Sponge looking for a bit of an angle here. Maybe it's a chance for Gideon to get himself a stack. Diable just fires off one of his Stormrazor procs. That is about it. Gideon not going to find that rock. And Nongshim still just settled in this 4-4 type scenario. The Baron is going to spawn. Gideon actually CC'd by the Baron. And there is Sponge making his way in. The Baron getting a little bit frustrated as Gideon refusing to auto-attack anyone. And it's like, no, we want 0 stacks. Okay, now Teddy taking some damage here from these undertows as Kingen will be able to pick up his axe. He's got Ragnarok. There's no way that you can actually stop this. The kickback. Sponge looks for the cube, and Namgung shows up in the nick of time. Teddy survives! And Diable will be able to help knock down that snake. Scout now getting the big old shield as Hextech ultimatum to try and keep them alive. And Scout, so annoying. Lehends dives in, casting cord, and oh no! It's a Skarner that's been domesticated! It's in a little pen! Oh, it's terrible. Scout's gonna lock it down. And I guess, you know, birds do canonically eat scorpions sometimes.
Nongshim draft is just so powerful. It's crazy what they're able to do. Even though they didn't get the kill onto Teddy there, they take Roamer out. Teddy is effectively dead because he has to leave the fight. And Kingen just was in the front line at low health. And this is the power of the Olaf with this draft too, as he can just buy infinite space until Scout gets over here. He's in melee range of this Corki, and Sponge is going under turret here to chase him down. Doesn't quite have the damage. This block from Namgung is crazy, and they end up getting the kill onto the Lee Sin, but look at how much damage Diable does. And for some reason, they think that casting can actually get access to this Anivia. And guess what?
Yeah.
Not going to happen as Lehends gets over the wall here as well. And then Gideon's put...
He can't even hit the red buff! Oh no, it's just old so bad.
It's just a new pet project here for Nongshim.
Yeah, well, definitely, yeah, I like the use of the word pet. Speaking of which, the pet bird here from Nongshim is up towards the top side. Roma is going to get the ultimate off, doesn't get the stun, but there's a beautiful impale! Down to the Echo Scout, though it's not over yet, as he should be respawning. The Deadly Flourish needs to be flashed by Roma, and back comes the bird! Just, incubated once again, and Scout pops up at half health.
All right, that's kind of big that they... Oh!
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, just looking for some Krugs, and Diable will see that they're there. Nicely done.
Scout actually might be able to make something happen here. If they try to push into him, just instead going to stop a back.
Going to spot Gideon there. Does manage to find the point-blank stun. There's a Deadly Flourish as well, as Gideon just standing on this Glacial Storm. Just felt like he was CC'd for kind of a year.
Scout is awake, Atlus.
Oh, yes, he is. We've been waiting for this all season long.
It's been the whole year of us being like, you know, Scout came from the LPL, but it was one of his worst splits. You know, he's not on form right now. We're very disappointed, blah, blah, blah. Now he's just showing up in a big way. Diable, though.
Diable is going to have to flash.
Scout again says no!
This guy's walls are just exceedingly good.
Maybe after he retires, I guess he's got a career as an architect maybe coming in.
Oh, 100%. Or at least a carpenter, man. Like, he can build my house. I will trust him. That thing would be level and perfect.
The turret buys a bunch of space here, and then Scout, because he knows he has his passive here, just wants to kind of brawl. He's so far ahead that he can play this aggressively through this passive. The Impale is really nice here, but Diable is untouched, and he's layering so much damage, and Kingen gets the kill onto the Shen, and Romer can't layer damage in anymore. He's too low, and they have no space control here. And then Scout's like, I'm not done with this, actually, but we're not going to watch that whole replay because we got to go back to reality because that's a very long one.
Oops,
but
there goes Gravity Wolf, indeed.
Scout's level 16 now. He's 3 levels up on Roamer because his rod hasn't completed, but he's 2 levels up effectively once that does finish for Roamer here. And he is taken over this game. And Scout, back-to-back POMs in the last week of play, and might be looking if they can close out this series, or maybe the triple.
Yeah, doesn't even need the lock to get the POMs, as it turns out. As Diable here has just quietly, you know, racked up 6 out of 8 kill participation, is kind of just chilling. I kind of hate the build, but it's fine. It's Jhin. It's not like he's going to do much. Anyway, as the bros grouped up as 4, looking for an angle towards this Jhin, and there is the Impale. I don't think they're going to be saving him. So I apologize, Diable. That was probably going to count as a caster curse. As Scout looks for a little bit of a stun. The Glacial Storm comes down. This might be a bridge too far, as he does have the dash cannon, but he doesn't have his flash, nor does he have the egg. And so the bros will kill 2, both of the carries, and now look for a potential Baron.
And now, as much as I've been glazing this draft for Nongshim, it does need to be set up and in formation to operate, and Diable just gets caught for free, and then the rest of the team fall like dominoes. Lehends here alone is not going to be able to get anything done here. Kingen is coming over. Sponge is looking for the cross angle. He's on vision.
Yeah, Lehends goes in. There's a petrifying gaze, and now Kingen's running after Teddy. He'll get that kill. Down goes Namgung as well. And Sponge, he gets on in there. They're still on the Baron, though, and I think the bros will be able to take this one down. There it is. And so they lose their bottom lane, but they'll get the purple worm.
HANJIN BRION hold their ground, and they put this gold lead back to 0 here for Nongshim, as Diable's just trying to set up something here, but they don't have the Anivia. So there's just nothing he can do, and then by the time Scout shows up here, this is a massive push, and I think he gets a little bit greedy, tries to get a little bit cute with it. There's no Olaf here to defend him this time, and he has no passive, and so down he will go.
That was us, by the way, Wolf. The Scout glazing had really hit a critical level, and we really let the bros come back on that one.
Plays for the fight because the Baron is super healthy, tries to get in here, gets a kill, and they do eliminate 2 of these Barons off the bat, but if you're HANJIN BRION, you're very happy to take the exchange. And now, I mean, Roamer has a gold lead. He's got critical mass. He's in late game. He's no longer 2 levels behind. Just a full level down right now effectively, but still a very, very serious damage threat here. And no longer do Nongshim have map control. This is soul point here potentially for this Infernal Soul here for HANJIN BRION in this comeback angle.
It's kind of ridiculous that Roamer got 7 kills in this game. He did kind of look useless for so much of the early game and has now been the benefactor of so many of these comeback wins. He's still 50 CS down. It just doesn't seem to matter at all at this stage of the game. So a very honest fight here for the second Infernal Drake of the game. We'll give Bro one of every elemental dragon so far, which would be pretty cool. It's nice to collect the set. And they are going to move on down there now with control of the river, at least for the moment.
Tougher to engage with this comp as Nongshim than to control space defensively. And Bro know it, they're just going to play it slow and walk out of these ults.
Great wall to come down here for Scout as well, just to hold them in that Glacial Storm. But they are just taking the dragon. And they'll secure it. That is soul point over to the bros. Nongshim now just kind of scattering. GIDEON looking for the runaround, but I'm not sure about that one. That was a weird angle. He gets kicked back, interrupted on the Impale, and now GIDEON gonna have to get out of there. His health bar is gigantic, and so he is going to be all right. Another gorgeous wall. Roamer yells at nothing, and the public execution gets into the backline. Can casting save the play? That's the question. As Kingen flashes out over the wall. No one dead just yet. Namgung limping away from the battlefield, and Sponge gets in the double talk. The turn for the bros, but it's a turn for the worst. As GIDEON gets in there, will take down the egg. These health bars are excruciatingly low, and Kingen finds a last hit with an axe. Now Diable looking for GIDEON and casting. And these 2 are both melee. It's going to be so difficult to get themselves out of here. But GIDEON slams him into the wall. And Diable versus casting. Diable doesn't want it.
Nongshim had no right to get anything in this fight. I feel like if we pan to Digon right now, he's going to be bold after this one. Bro showcased in 2 ways. In the initial part of the fight, which we're not going to watch, why it's harder for Nongshim to be the aggressors, and when they have, and then in the second part, why when Nongshim are the defenders of this composition here for Bro, they have the advantage as GIDEON just runs in to this composition, has to flash away, gets zoned out by an amazing wall here from Scout. And now, look at this angle for Kingen. He and Lehends are limit testing in this fight. Kingen's like, all right, I'm waiting for opportunity. He gets his honey fruit on the other side here as Namgung's trying to save the player because they need to burst Diable. Teddy does so much damage, but it's not enough. Diable gets caught here. Look at this play from Lehends as well onto Roamer. Flashes the hookshot on the wall, and with the undertow, takes out the damage. And once that Cassiopeia is down, this is not really a winnable fight here for Bro. Gideon at least has one last heroic moment here, because otherwise he is just going to die for free. And this Dragon fight win for Bro was great, but it could have just stopped right there.
Yeah, I swear, like if Kingen had have hit like one more undertow, or maybe flashed the right direction to keep that Ragnarok going, it could have been a very different story. But in the end, so many blinking health bars. That was so extraordinarily close. And Nongshim come out of it with a 1.2k gold lead. Bro come out of it with Soul Point. And I think both teams are probably feeling all right with how this one's going.
I think for Bro, you're happy you got the Soul Point, but you're frustrated that you lost the momentum and you lost the map control, because I don't know how many different ways we could say this, but when you are coming into this Anivia with the walls, it's so much harder. And Bro had, for the first time, like a real tangible control over the Dragon. Nongshim could do nothing. And we watched the Dragon fight, which is, to me, almost the more interesting replay. Nongshim were like trying to get in, Bro just like, we're just going to stand out of range of your wall and control the Dragon Pit. But now they don't get to control Baron, for example, here. This upcoming Baron might be Nongshim are the defenders, and that's really tough for HANJIN to actually crack. And so they got Soul Point, but it wasn't Soul, and now they don't have map control, which is more important than that one Dragon. One step closer to Infernal is not Infernal itself. So Nongshim definitely, I think, right now with control over this game, and Bro are once again going to have to wrestle it back.
Yeah, Death Dance now done here for Kingen. Diable, he does complete the Lord Doms, which will be so important into Gideon, who is just a massive health bar right now.
Namgung also being flashless really hurts for their ability to set up and break these phalanxes. We're going to see Scout come over here just defensively after he gets that turret, doesn't want to get collapsed on.
He was a little bit worried that there was someone coming up to try and stop him here as the Rift Scuttler will come on down. There's a public execution into the backline, though. Scout is in a lot of trouble. Gets the Seraph Shield, and the wall is gorgeously placed. He will be able to make it out as Sponge is able to take down the enemy mid laner, but the Olaf is also dead. Lehends having to wall dive his way away as Gideon shows up once again. Lehends is going to die, and Diable is sprinting out of the battlefield. That is going to be the blue buff secured, but I don't know about this Baron angle for the Bros.
There's no TP for Scout. He just used it. I think Bro actually should be able to do this on spawn because he doesn't have health. There's no Hex Gates or anything like that. They have the time here. They do reconsider those. Diable walking in.
Diable, what are we doing, buddy? Oh, no, he's just going to pop like a balloon. But why?
I mean, he didn't have vision. He wanted to come over and see if
he didn't have friends. There was no one up what?
But also the other thing is, like, he could have pressed tab to see that Baron hadn't spawned yet.
Oh no!
Sponge is now just gonna have to look for heroic steal.
Well, let's see whether he can actually do something here. He does have Scout to back him up. And they do get some vision. Gideon is at full health. It will be a smite fight. And man, using the Baron little wall, the hunting Baron is doing so much damage. It has taken them relatively low as they get into the backline. The kick is gorgeous onto Teddy. And the Olaf takes down the Corki. Lehends makes his way over. Man, this would look way better for Nongshim if Diable hadn't suicided earlier. And Scout gets picked up by the public execution and then taken down with these twin fangs. The Bros reign supreme as only Sponge stays alive.
Such a smart call from Bro to just send it towards the Baron and split Nongshim in half so they couldn't have that phalanx step. This is Baron and Infernal Soul picked up here on the play, but they prevented Nongshim from getting that setup that they needed. They push on to Scout. Scout has no passive. Look at Sponge and Lehends on the other side. They're completely cut in half because Bro went in first to gain that control. So Scout is zoned away here by the Ambessa and by Teddy. And even though he can wall to escape here, the top side of the map, they just cannot deal with Gideon's health bar here. And as they collapse back in, Lehends is taken down. And this is Bro getting full control over the Baron, and they're looking for a turn post Diable's Baron check. This was a really nice attempt here from Nongshim because I know the health bars are low. Punching Baron doing a ton of damage. These resistances are shredded, so Scout's doing massive amounts of damage, but Roamer shows up here, and they just don't have the damage output. They don't have the consistent damage without a Jhin here. to win this longer fight. Scout tries his best. His wall is phenomenal, but Roamer is just going to be able to rule the day here. He's so tanky on this late game Cassiopeia that he can't be burst down. Scout's isolated and killed, and Bro win everything and likely have just punched a ticket here to win in game 1.
Yeah, Gideon going to be almost taking a damage. I think there was almost a damage there. I'm not quite sure. Can't confirm it, but it's only a 700 gold lead so far for the Bros. This game is still so close as far as money, but Infernal Soul is such a huge deal. Oh no, the Anivia factor
Sponge is pulling this wave, and he is a Lee Sin that's got these cinders to actually play through even as well. He's very slippery, so this is going to annoy HANJIN
where's
Brion
the
here.
siege?
They're buying a lot of time here with this. Only 50 seconds left on this Baron. It's tough into Anivia with those waves clearing, as Lehends may be in trouble.
Yeah, Lehends is going to get caught out. Does shield up a bit of the damage, but is otherwise just going to die. There's the TP to come on in. Sponge has just decided he wants to go back. Scout wishes he could do the same thing as he blast cones his way into the Fog of War. That's a great counter stun to come on in, and he dash cannons away, and so the bird will live. I think Kingen got a bit of spare time towards the top side there as well, so that is kind of good news. And the more time that Nongshim waste, the better it is for them.
They still need to get map control back somehow into Infernal Soul, which is going to be tricky. Kingen's getting some extra space topside, like you mentioned.
Oh my goodness, this is like Froggen in 2012 all over again, man.
This comp stalls hard, and with that rocket belt, you can avoid the engage, get away. And Kingen is going to now need to leave this area, so that's about as much push as they're going to get. We're probably going down to Elder Flip territory at this point, Atlus. No
that's what it's feeling like.
The wave clear is so good for Nongshim that even with a 30+ minute Baron, like the inners are up. All of them for Nongshim.
Yeah.
I mean, all across the map, frankly. We have all 6 inners still up at 35 minutes in.
3-3 in turrets. Like, this is more Bro and Brew than the actual Bro and Brew that we watched yesterday.
Yeah, pretty crazy. A lot of kills with this one, I suppose, at least. But going back to this, it's just Sponge trying to hold the wave and then holding off this angle. And I guess Lehends thought maybe he could set something up onto Teddy, but Teddy's so incredibly safe. Like, I think that was like 3 bridges too far on the attempt there. But it doesn't matter because they clear a bunch of waves. They buy a bunch of time. The Baron got very little done here for Bro. The gold is dead even still.
Yeah, in fact, it's deader even. As it is 69.7 versus to 70 gold. Like, it's like, as far as like then thousands of gold, of course, like this is ridiculously close. It's only the Infernal Soul that puts the Bros in a meaningful advantage, right? But Nongshim's composition will always be able to do things, I'm pretty sure,
if they can get,
with how Scout's been playing.
If they can get defense of that Elder, I think they can win this game. But otherwise, Bro can just even keep poking with Skarner rocks and chip away at these health bars.
The problematic thing is that Sponge has not been able to get control of any sort of pit so far, whether it's the Dragon or the Baron.
And that's a large reason why, as you guys can see, the Soul is there and the Baron advantage has been Bro's. I think what Bro basically are going to do now is just make sure they get control of these choke points here. They have all their flashes up. I feel like this game is almost impossible to lose as long as they just make sure they control Baron and go Baron into Elder and then push down that mid lane. Now, it's because all the inners are up and it's Anivia on the other side. That alone might not be enough. They might not even be able to end on Elder Baron if nobody dies on Nongshim in the exchange. But that's the game plan here. As we have a TP flanking Anivia to try to regain space.
Yeah, Lehends dives in. Hextech Ultimatum is in the middle of Narnia, though. A Scout does make his way over. The wall is gorgeous. They're all in the petrifying gaze, though. A Sponge gets stunned up. The curtains from downtown. Namgung taken out first. It's a double for Scout. Gideon's so incredibly low, but Teddy is able to take down the Olaf. Sponge tries to be the hero, but he fails in the backline, and the Impale is onto 2. Diable has to flash Teddy. He limps away from the fight, but he survives. Sponge comes back up. Gideon slams him into the wall, and it's a triple for the Fountain Laser. And Teddy even catches the bird in the air. Lehends needs to give the Penta. Man, like, this game has been ludicrous.
Teddy's playing so well. He's fighting this fight with Infernal Soul and like 10% health, but he does all the damage needed, and now he and Gideon are just healthy enough to do this Baron in the face of a Camille that's got no flash, no ultimate, and is on vision on the Raptor camp. It's gonna do for some reason. As look at how this starts off here. Initially, it looks like Nongshim are in such a winning position because they get this flank and they find 3. They isolate 3 as the attackers in this situation, but Teddy's the safe one. Look at him just two-shot Lehends.
Yeah.
And then kite it back with Casting's help here. He's got a little bit of peel, flashes here at the last possible second, chunks sponge down, and now no one can close the gap on him. Puts the scout into his egg, jumps onto the Diable on the top side there, kills Jhin, and then it's just whittling down these health bars and gets the final shot here onto Scout as well. Valkyrie's in, predicts where he's going with the blast cone and takes him down. And now Elder is on the cards here for Bro. Some respawns coming through for Nongshim, but Scout doesn't have TP.
Yeah, Nongshim know what's going on here. Sponge makes his way over. No Guardian Angel, but it should be a 5v5. But there's the taunt from Namgung. Makes his way in. Sponge gets out of the way. GIDEON not able to find them there. As the Glacial Storm goes down. The Impale under 2! And Teddy's Phosphorus Bomb basically just killed both of them in the blink of an eye. That's going to be Exodia for the Bros. And I think that should be enough to close out this game number 1.
I think the brew is well and truly steeped.
Oh, yes.
Ready for consumption at this point at 40 minutes.
I would say that it's probably a bit over the edge, and you're going to need to add a bit of water.
They've been 100%ing this game.
Oh, yeah. They've got all of the trophies.
I think they just got the plat.
Yeah. Yeah. They can probably take the cartridge out. It's time to go with another one.
They collected all 3 elemental dragons. They got the Barons. They got the Elder. And now they're looking for the Nexus.
Yeah. The Dragon is going to breathe fire on the next one to get beneath that threshold as the curtains have been called, but probably not for the Bros, although these bullets are doing a lot of damage. Diable holding that last one, just pops Namgung there as they're diving into the backline. Teddy, he's going to be that target. He's down to the GA, but Lehends is going to get eaten by a Dragon. There is the wall to come down. Diable is able to get another GA, but Teddy's popped back up again, and man, he is so scary. Double stun. There's that Dragon we were talking about. The kick is an utter fail there onto Sponge, who goes down, and it's Scout against the world. Like it kind of has been all game long. Another multi-kill here for Teddy. 12, 3, and 8 on the Corki. And the Bros win game 1.
What a way to bounce back from losing to DNS last week, dropping the series and dropping out of Kespa Cup